Hello and welcome to GuyLogic. My name is Temko and today we're taking a look at a game called On Rusty Trails. And what is this game, you might ask? Well, it's basically a puzzle platformer with very light puzzle elements, to say that, in a very atmospheric world with a very cool art style, aesthetic, and a little bit of a gameplay gimmick mechanic in switching between two different types of character. Now, before we dive into the actual gameplay, let's talk a little bit about options and the PC port. First thing you'll notice is that this game does not have any form of mouse control, and that is a damn shame, because even though the game is controlled by your WASD as well as spacebar and your tab button, which is all the control you need, and it works superbly well on a controller, there is still no reason not to have at least mouse control in the menus, where it is pretty damn useful. Now, about the options is that you have a resolution options, the VSync, full screen on or off, a quality level of however much you want it to be, from ultra crap to normal. You have quite a few types of AA, and it's pretty decent in that. The brightness, the music and sound effects you have. There is no voice acting in the game. There is some effect sound, but those mostly covered by sound effects, which is all pretty well. Now, the game doesn't have any graphical options to speak of outside of the AA as well as texture quality, and this is okay because the game is a 2D side-scrolling platformer, so that is fine in and of itself. The controls are fully rebindable, and like I said, you only need about 5 or 6 keys total, so that is fine in general. You also have a level selection, which lets you select any level you have previously completed. But I must say that currently in the press build, there is a bug that when you quit the game and restart the game, your progress is lost. So that is a damn shame. I really hope they have that fixed before the official launch. Other than that, you have continue or start new game, and that will put you ahead and set you forward where you left off last. Now, the game has a bunch of levels, but they're all really short. And this is where my main criticism something is going to come from. So let's dive into the game and talk a little bit about the gameplay, the level design, and all the things like that. So, gameplay wise, now the main thing about this game is switching between the little red robot character thing and the blue ape-like creature sponge thing. And a goal of the game is switching with these two characters and running across these blocks, and these blocks always correspond to whether or not you are the red robot or the bluish creature. And you have to switch between these two types of characters for a variety of hazards. The robot doesn't get hurt by lasers, and the blue creature doesn't get hurt by rain, and so on and so forth. But as I said, the levels in this game are really short. In fact, the average, I think, is just around 40 seconds for a level. And I'd be fine if there were hundreds of levels, but there aren't. There's quite a few levels. I think there's about 50 in total if I have to count them all together. But overall, they are very linear, very short, and some of them don't really even have puzzles. They're only there as sort of a bridge between two chapters, or to provide a little bit of expose in terms of the story. Now, there is a story in the game, and it's not really explained in words or explained in text. It's all explained expose in the world. And some of that expose you're going to have to figure out by exploring some of the levels. Now, you don't know which levels, you don't know when, you don't know where, but some levels have hidden areas like hidden rooms, have off the beaten track paths you can go to and get like a billboard or maybe an icon or a bunch of background AI characters that will say something or use icons to communicate. All of this is definitely part of the game, and it's pretty interesting, especially with the aesthetic being so very damn cool as it is, and the entire world building being so very not only consistent, but very good in what it is. It tries to accomplish a robot world where biological creatures are trying to live, and how these two are gonna mesh and meld together, and the issues that you will have. One gets rusted from rain, and the other just doesn't, and needs water, and so on and so forth. The problem is that the game introduces these mechanics really slowly, even in its already very short levels. So you'll play 5, 6, 7 levels in a row, and not be introduced to any variant or new mechanic at all. Sometimes you get introduced to new mechanics spontaneously, like the war chapter, where suddenly there are a bunch of guns that are homing, and you just have to figure them out on the fly. Sometimes you'll be introduced to mechanic very gradually, like the rain mechanic that explained what it was, and then a laser that said, oh, it's like the rain blob, but then, you know, a laser, so it doesn't affect the other side of things. And sometimes you get these rockets that just get thrown in the entire level, and the entire level is focused around having them in a specific spot. So the game isn't really consistent in trying to maintain its difficulty level. level. Now, it isn't a difficult game at all in the first place. In about 3 hours, I've completed it almost to the end, and I really don't see a reason to continue playing it after I've beaten the level. The 2 bosses I've encountered were pretty interesting, but not complex. The solutions to them were very simple, so the puzzling aspect really isn't there. Exploration-wise, the game is trying to tell you to be faster. You get a score time, you get how many save points you used, and stuff like that told at the end of a level, so you want to replay that level to beat that score, and also to compete with other players. Sadly, I haven't found an online leaderboard that lets you compete with other players. The game does have a leaderboard that says, oh, you came in at 7th or 25th or 26th, but it doesn't really tell you what the other people did or accomplished or anything like that, which I think would have added a extra dimension to the title, which it currently doesn't have. Now, talking about the game and its aesthetic, which is where most of the game's charm comes from. It has a very cool way of conveying the story. As I said, it's all expose, it's all in interactive cutscenes. I won't say in cutscenes, there's billboards and there's like a character in front of these billboards with an icon above their head. Stuff like that is part of the way the game conveys its story. And while the levels introduce new mechanics very slowly, and they're not particularly difficult to figure out, I do have to applaud the developers for being very consistent in the way they convey a level. The level in the factory was all small corridors. It was all about trying to figure out the best route. It was poisonous blocks. It was stuff like that. While the level on Moor is all about combat. You can see that being played right now. It's all about combat, avoiding missiles and surviving an onslaught. While the level in the city was all about trying to find houses. People with kids were standing around and buying groceries. The entire narrative cohesion is pretty damn great. But the problem is that it doesn't really convey to compelling gameplay outside of a single run or two. And that is where my main criticism also comes back looping around. The short levels and the simple and very slow introduction of new mechanical elements to the game or variants on existing mechanics makes the game very simple and very straightforward. And while the aesthetic and the story behind it are really cool, the very limited replay value of the title coupled with the very short gameplay of about 3 to 4 hours just doesn't feel right at a price point of 13 euros. If you really like the aesthetic and if you are a great fan of puzzle platformers, especially if you like abstract stories that are not told through traditional means, then this game is definitely worth looking out for. But if you are into speedrunning or you want a longer gameplay experience or a lot of replay value, then this game might not be for you. And if you want, you can check it out on Steam. It comes out on June 13th for the price point of 13 euros or your regional equivalent. So thank you for watching. If you liked this video, press that like button below. If you didn't like this video, well, there's a dislike button for exactly that purpose. And leave a comment. Tell us what you liked. Tell us what we can do better. We want to hear back from all of you. And if you want to see more content like this on the channel, just press that subscribe button down below and we will deliver. So until then, I wish you a good day, and until next time, right here on GuyLogic.